Someone I want to see.
My friend Sherlock Holmes.
221B Baker Street.
Hello there. Welcome to my review of The Return of Sherlock Holmes, Series 1, Episode 5, The Abbey Grange. The episode begins with a traditional teaser prologue with police arriving at a stately home to investigate a dead body. But we are then immediately taken to Baker Street, where Holmes wakes Watson with a case.
Come, Watson. Come. The game is afoot.
He has been summoned by the inspector investigating the murder we just saw, Inspector Hopkins, at the Abbey Grange, and the victim is Sir Eustace Brackenstall, owner of the property. Hopkins is a great patron of Holmes, calling on him on 7 previous occasions. It's a very similar setup to The Crooked Man, but this time the wife has also been assaulted. By the time Holmes and Watson arrive at the Grange, she has a full account of who it was, and Hopkins believes they have had a wasted journey, as he recognises the gang she is described as attacking her. Holmes is not so sure, though, and still wants to interview Lady Brackenstall. She tells them her husband liked a drink, not so much to cause trouble, but troubling to him, and she's worried that rumours and exaggerations of this habit might get out. She then gives them a full account of what happened the night before. She locked up the house after the servants had gone to bed, and as she was doing so, 3 men entered the house and accosted her. Sir Eustace came in at that point, and they murdered him, then took the silver and helped themselves to some port before tying her up and leaving. Holmes then inspects the crime scene, which Hopkins has left as it was found, including the body of Sir Eustace.
A mess indeed.
We've touched nothing, sir.
What do you make of it, Doctor?
Watson observes that he was killed with a single blow, and Holmes investigates the rest of the scene, which raises some questions for him. He observes the bell rope was used to tie her up, but how did the gang know the bell wouldn't alert anyone else in the house? And there's something curious about the port glasses that the 3 men drank from. It's not enough to lead him to believe there's anything amiss with Lady Brackenstall's version of events. At least not until he's on the train home. He realises only 2 of the port glasses were actually used.
We must return. 3 glasses.
The 3rd was added after the fact as a decoy, and Holmes wants to know why. The pair head back to the Abbey Grange and begin investigating further. Holmes finds a pet's headstone that has been repeatedly broken and fixed, then discarded, along with a dog's collar. Sherlock believes this, along with old scars on Lady Brackenstall's arms, indicates Sir Eustace was not the kind-hearted man she portrayed him as.
You saw the marks, of course, on the lady's arm.
Yes, I was surprised that they did not interest you more.
There were stab wounds made by a long needle or a hat pin. This lady has been living in fear.
He then finds signs of a man other than the one she described at the crime scene. He accuses her of lying to him, but she sticks to her story.
I have told you all I know.
I am sorry.
He continues to investigate the grounds and discovers a log that hasn't moved all morning in the estate lake, as if it's anchored by something. He gets the police to investigate and they find the missing silver, while he checks on shipping timetables and has found a fan of Watson's stories, which annoys Holmes a little.
I assure you, it is only through study of the good doctor's masterly exposition of your work that I now have any small capacity to reason.
Really? You amaze me. Watson, are you taking notes?
The shipping manager knows exactly who Holmes is looking for based on the information Holmes gives him, a Jack Crocker, a handsome captain loved by his crew, promoted to a new vessel. Holmes is a little shocked to find out what a good man Crocker is, and laments the fact that every now and then the guilty people he brings to justice are justified in their law-breaking. At that moment, Captain Crocker arrives at Baker Street, and Holmes tells him that they just want to see justice done. However, that falls out. Crocker then lays out the story for them. He fell in love with Lady Brackenstall long before she met Sir Eustace, but she only sought friendship from him. When he found out she was married, he never planned to see her again, but bumped into her handmaid while his ship was docked, and she told him about Sir Eustace's cruelty, including how he burned her dog to death and threatened to do the same to her. Crocker tried to meet with her, but she refused, so he went to the Abbey Grange and snuck in, as she had claimed the gang had done. Their heartfelt conversation was interrupted by her husband, and in a drunken rage he lashed out at his wife and fought with Crocker. Crocker defended himself at first before striking the killer blow. He and the handmaids then planned Lady Brackenstall's excuse and set the scene. He asks how Holmes caught him, and Holmes explains that only a sailor could have climbed the bell rope, tied the sailor's knot, and used a sailor's multi-use knife. At that moment, Lady Brackenstall arrives, and Holmes tells them they have a choice.
On the basis of the story which you have told us here tonight, a British court of law will understand that you acted in defense of your own life. That, however, is for a jury to decide. If you choose to disappear within the next 24 hours, I promise no one will hinder you.
Crocker can either stay and face the music, or flee, and Holmes will say no more about it. Crocker says he won't run and leave Lady Brackenstall to face the consequences, and Holmes applauds his choice, telling him that he has passed the test. He allows Watson to be the jury for Crocker's case, and Watson acquits, allowing the pair to go free. After they have gone, Watson is concerned Holmes allowed himself to play judge, as this sits uneasy with him. But he does understand why Holmes did so.
It's just as well you are unique.
As I already mentioned, this does feel very similar to The Crooked Man in many ways, although here there's an actual murder, and the motive is to protect a woman tormented by her husband. It's all very well done in this adaptation, although the pacing feels a little off, with Holmes getting all the details about Crocker from one interaction, and what put him on that trail not being explained until the end. And those final scenes, feeling much longer than anything in the rest of the episode, really does slow it down a bit. It just makes it feel unbalanced. The clues Holmes has to work with are also surprisingly mundane for a Sherlock story. While Holmes can often extrapolate from the minutest of details, they usually lead somewhere, whereas here the clue that sparks the mystery is that the port glasses were wrong, but he doesn't know what that means. I would have preferred it if they had left out the epiphany he has on the train and had him not leave the Abbey Grange once he discovers the port and the bell rope. I also don't think his explanation to Watson of why he feels okay to act as judge is quite enough, and could have done with a bit more forcefulness from Holmes like we've seen previously. All that being said, I still think this is a great episode, highlighting how society at the time would look more kindly on a woman who stayed with her husband, regardless of how abusive he was, than they would a woman who had left her husband. The fact that Crocker doesn't recognise that Lady Brackenstall is in love with him is a beautiful touch that helps flesh out that character. It's not perfect, but it's still a very entertaining episode, and for that reason, it's 4 out of 5 from me. Thank you. Goodbye.